The Icons of Real Estate podcast. Are you ready to learn the proven money-making secrets from EXP's top-producing icon agents? If you are an ambitious EXP agent ready to skyrocket your business, this podcast is for you. Tune in every week with your host, Tomasz Fonseca, and find out how to implement proven strategies to 10 times your EXP business, from $3 million to $30 million in just 12 months. Brought to you by the Masters in Real Estate Marketing, Arter SEO.
Hello guys, once again, and welcome to another episode of Icons of Real Estate podcast. With me today, I have David Binns. He's a 14-year-old veteran of the real estate industry from Toronto, Canada. David founded Recruitment Consulting for real estate, and with it, brilliantly created and deployed a revolutionary system to help real estate brokerage attract their ideal real estate agents. He basically cracked the code, allowing anyone to onboard 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 new agents and at over 1 million in GCI every month. David has worked with agents, brokers, and managers, not only at EXP Realty, but also in all the major brokerages. And today we have the pleasure to have David with us on the Icons of Real Estate podcast. Welcome to the show, David.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Good to be here.
Oh, yes, my pleasure. So usually we kick this off as any other real estate podcast. We're not so special. I'm kidding. Yes, we are. So David, tell us about your real estate journey.
Yeah, so again, great to be here. And my real estate journey started 15 years ago. And I started my career in commercial and corporate real estate here in Toronto, working with the provincial government and selling land and leasing big buildings and all that kind of fun stuff. And then about 5 years into my career, I looked around the office and I'm like, I'm still friends with a lot of these guys. Like, I really love who I work with. I don't want to do this 5 or 10 years from now. So I left. And I left and I went over to Keller Williams. And I went over to Keller Williams. I didn't have a lot of money at the time. In fact, I didn't have any money at the time because I wasn't doing great in my last year in commercial real estate. So I went over to Keller Williams. And the only reason I went over to Keller Williams was it was cheap. They had a $55 a month desk fee. I did not want to spend money on, whatever it was, $5,000 or $1,000 a month, $500 or $600 or $1,000 a month at Remax or other competitors. So I went over to Keller Williams and I quickly turned my entire business and my life around. And then in 2015, 16, and 17, I was top 25 in Canada for individual agents. But then I got the email specifically in 2015, and I was top 25 in Canada for Keller Williams Realty. And the moment I saw that email, I was like, really? Like, this is what it feels like? I was 50 pounds heavier than I am today. 40 pounds to be correct. I was miserable. Like, I truly mean miserable. I was walking around angry and it didn't make sense. And then that just triggered this deep journey for me where I went from doing 35 deals a year to doing on average 16, but I increased my income. Then I went on to lead programs for the world's largest personal development company called Landmark, or one of, between them and Tony Robbins. And I just went on this mission, this ruthless mission of self-discovery to really turn my life and my business around, which really led me to today. And then I got a phone call to join the management team to bring Berkshire Hathaway Home Services into Canada, where I was responsible for agent attraction and recruitment and did exceptionally well there. And then I left that company to fully pursue my heart with training and development around agent attraction and the other program we have, which is called the Rocket Fuel Real Estate Academy. So that's a quick little summary of my journey.
Yeah, very emotional journey as it seems. And when we had that aha moment when you were named top 25, and it felt like, oh, like, or you felt like you didn't deserve it, or it didn't feel nice as it should be. What did you actually change in your life, except of obviously like you changed your job, and you changed the direction of your job, but
Yep.
on the top of it, what was the other things that you changed in order to get some self-awareness?
That is a loaded question. So I'll summarize it as best as I possibly can. The first thing I did is I put myself first. Now, it sounds really simple. However, when you're building a real estate business, or you are a top producer, or you want to be a top producer to build your business and really aspire to that high performance level, in most cases, the client always comes first. Everybody else comes first. You got to go do that showing. You got to go on that listing appointment, follow up on that home inspection, check in on the escrow or the conditional period here in Canada. Like, everybody else comes first. And I just stopped. And I was like, no. I fired a client. I just said, I'm not willing to be treated this way. Goodbye. And I've done that about 4 times over my career. So I really did put myself first. I started eating really clean. I lost 35 pounds in 3 months, which as you can tell, I've kept it off. And then I went on to lose even more weight after that. I set very, very, very strict boundaries. Most people in the industry think I'm nuts, but I'm not kidding. I was very clear boundaries. I have worked one weekend. I just finished like my active selling career. I have worked one weekend in the last 4 years. Now, I'm not saying everybody has to do that, but I refuse to work 6 days a week. It's not happening. Okay. I went on a deep journey to study and self-discovery through meditation, through working with a spiritual and healing coach, to working with a manifestation coach, to reading countless books. I took a month off. I literally shut my phone off and I went to Thailand for a month. Again, I come back to the point. It's a pretty loaded question, but the whole paradigm shifted when I really got, like, in every fiber of my thinking and being, that my reality, my external reality, my business, my partnerships, my friends, my relationships, my body, all of that was a reflection of what was happening inside. I didn't need to go do more lead generation. I didn't need to go do more door knocking, call people for referrals. I actually completely flipped the entire paradigm. The more rest I had, the more meditation I did, the more journaling, reflecting, affirmations I did, the quicker my business grew. And everyone's like, what about your systems, processes, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, that's irrelevant. If your head and your heart are not authentically dialed in to what you truly desire, you're just going to keep working hard. So that's when I went from 35 deals a year. I think this year I've done, 12. And I still did 400 grand in commission. And I spent 3 months in Costa Rica this year. And I built a new business this year and last year. Right? So people really need to get, and this is part of my mission in the real estate industry, people really need to get that the door knocking, the cold calling, the social media, the posting on Instagram and Facebook and keeping up with all the top producers, that is a complete and utter waste of time. Unless you are taking the time to take care of you through wellness, meditation, drinking sufficient water, journaling, reading, diaphragmatic breathing, getting very clear on how much money you want to make in the year. You know, there's certain cultures within our industry that are beyond obsessed with numbers. Oh, so you want to do $400,000 in gross commission income next year? Great. How many hours of lead generation do you need to do a day? How many listings are you going to take? When are you going to get those listings? How many buyers are you going to do? They get completely messed up. You know, there's my business plan for the last 6 years has been two things and two things only. How much money do I want to make? And approximately how many deals will that take? Everyone's like, oh, you got to know your numbers, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, of course you do. You need to know your finances. But the thing that, if there's one thing that I'm on a mission to dismantle, it's realtors, brokers, managers, team leaders, CEO of real estate companies, the whole 9 yards, are obsessed with understanding how they're going to accomplish their goal. The first thing most real estate trainers are going to ask you, say, okay, you want to make $350,000 next year. How are you going to do it? You're going to do social media? You're going to do door knocking? You're going to do like listings? I don't know. What are you going to do? I completely disregard the how, because I don't care about building a big real estate business. I never have. I've had the skill. I have the leadership skill. I have the training and development skill. I have the real estate skill. I have the skill on running a deal. I'm very, very good at what I do. And I've never had the desire to build a real estate team. Never. I want to make a lot of money. I don't want to deal with I don't want to deal with managing a team and this and that and all of that comes with it. And people would often say that's a limiting belief. And I was like, okay, fine. And I do not have the desire to build that. Right? So the biggest piece is that people need to get connected to why they want what they want. It's not the listings. It's not the buyers. It's not the gross commission income. It's the fact that that is an access to something else, and they think it's going to make them feel a certain way. You see, it's not the Rolex that somebody wants. It's the feeling that they think that's going to give them. So again, my two metrics every year are gross commission income and the number of deals I want to do approximately. The rest is none of my business. And people will fight with me just like the Republicans and the Democrats are going to fight each other in the House. They will fight with me on this topic. And that's fine. But it all boils down to what you want. Do you want to go build a real estate team? Then great, go do that. Do you want to grow a great commission base every year of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 700 grand a year? Great, go do that. You just have to get connected to what you actually want and then dial into that number. And then that's a whole other podcast, that whole process. But for the last, with the exception of 1 year, for the last 6 years, that's how I've run my business. And in 2020, I had no idea, absolutely no idea how I was going to accomplish my goal. But I kept trusting it. I kept trusting it. I kept trusting it. And then what do you know? The partner of the CEO of a massive startup in Toronto. I mean, huge. It's not in the public domain, and I'm not going to say who it is. She called me and she said, Kay, we're ready. I've been working with them for 2 years. But our search has changed. Originally, they were looking for a $1.5 million condo downtown. And she goes, I've convinced him that this would be the right move for us. We would like to buy a lakefront estate in Oakville. And to give you all an idea of what Oakville is, think of Rodeo Drive. Think of the Upper East Side. Think of Beverly Hills. That's what it is in Canada. There's two major affluent areas in Canada. Oakville is one of them. That was an $11 million deal where I made $224,000. I had no idea how that was going to come to me. This is where I've gone very much on outside of the box when it comes to the mindset work, because we're in an industry that's obsessed how people are going to do things. How are you going to reach your goals? How are you going to do that? How? So there you go.
Yeah, David, man, I really like the perspective, and it's amazing how different successful agents can think different. You know, one says wake up at 5 a.m., do 50 cold calls, go drive around the neighborhood, and this and that. And obviously, you're here showing a different perspective, which is still valid, and it works as having you as the number one case study. And yeah, when you were talking about that, it reminded me, I don't know if you've seen this video or not, or if you know Alan Watts. He's like a philosopher, and he has a video about music and life, and people they just go along the music looking for the end of the music. So they start in kindergarten when the music starts, they go to high school, college, and the music continues, and they go to internship, they get promoted, and then they are CEO, and then the music ends. And then there's no music, you know, and like the purpose of this video is like, you got to dance, like you got to enjoy the music. And I feel like it has a bit to do with what you are saying right now, like not be 100% focused on goals, focus on being happy and being satisfied with yourself, and dancing along the way instead of sweating. And yeah, I just figure I'll share this. If for anyone who's listening, if you Google Alan Watts music and life, you should be able to check that out. It's a very valuable content.
Beautiful.
And yeah, like, and why did you, having that perspective, obviously you're closing less deals, putting less effort into it, but you're focusing more on the recruitment part. Why, like, does that feel you more satisfied in the philosophy of your life, or is it just what you're good at?
Well, that was, during the last 5 years, I've really been looking for my opportunity to exit sales. Okay. Again, I've done very well over the years, between 400 or 500 grand a year, and I just don't enjoy it. I just don't want to do it. So I got the phone call to go and join the team over at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services here in Toronto, to be an owner and a vice president in the company. And it was wonderful. And that was the next step for me, to do something beyond just selling real estate. I got, 15 years of it. I just got very bored of it. Mm-hmm. So that added a new silo to the business, which really excited me at the time. And then when I was there for almost 2 years. I've been looking, like I said, for what was next in my career. And I've always been obsessed with online marketing and really enjoyed it. I've wanted to build a consulting company for years, just wasn't entirely certain what it was going to be. And then I was sitting there in the office one day and I signed 4 agents in one day. No cold calling, no cold email, no cold texting, no scripting. And I was like, that's it. This is the business. Nobody is teaching recruitment and agent attraction this way. They're all sending out emails, sending out cold texts, inviting people to the next training, inviting people to a webinar, coaching people to create all these elaborate sales funnels and all this stuff. I was able to produce the results that I did by doing what everybody else doesn't do. And my results exceeded what everybody else is doing. More people need to know about this. So I built an entire program, and that's the trajectory that my career is taking now. And it has been over the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's very interesting, and I was about to ask if, of course, if you have like any peers around or in your team that like feel the same as you, or if you are just spreading this new way of seeing things. That you don't have to smile when you take a selfie to social media. Actually, you don't have to post that selfie on social media, but.
No, you don't. We do post, we do teach content marketing as part of our Agent Attraction Accelerator 2.0 program. It's very, very valuable. However, we have 2 people right now, as of December 15th, 2021, who are in our program, who one of them is finalizing a deal to bring over 35 agents. It's an entire real estate company. She didn't do that through social media. We have another agent with EXP who is working on finalizing, and it could be in 2 months, it could be in 6 months, because it's massive. Like, this is going to be massive. She didn't do that through social media. So, a lot of people are coaching that you have to do it through social media. No, you don't. We do that because we add, content marketing and social media, because it is effective without a doubt. That's why we teach it. That's how I was able to get some of the results that I had. However, it's the way in which you present the opportunity of your company to a prospective agent and have them navigate themselves through the process to select your company. That's the fundamental principle of what we teach. And it sounds really easy and very simple, but it actually takes real work in going to work on how you communicate a possibility to another person, so they're touched, moved, and inspired by that possibility, and then naturally will select you as the person to help them fulfill on that possibility. That's when I spent 13 years, frankly, at Landmark, leading programs. One of the core programs for 3 of those 13 years is where I truly mastered that. And that's what I teach other people, is how to enroll another person into a possibility and have that person pick them to have that possibility be real in the world. So everybody thinks it's all about, rev share and commission structure and caps and this. That's all noise. And everyone else is out there talking about how great their real estate company is, how amazing their real estate company is. It's like, guys, we need you to really, I wrote a post about this yesterday. You're not the best. EXP is not the best. It's not. Neither is Keller Williams. Neither is Compass, Century 21, Coldwell Banker, Compass, you name it. And it's like this invisible roadblock that people keep running into because they're too busy telling the market, I'm so amazing, I'm great. Agents don't want to hear that. This is the funny part. I run and own a real estate consulting company. I still get recruitment calls from real estate companies. There's no research whatsoever. It's just burn and turn. And that's the old way of doing recruiting, which is exactly what we don't teach. So what other questions you got?
Give me some more. No, I was going to ask, when you say like what you don't teach and what your students accomplish without social media, I was going to ask, I'm not going to ask you how you do it, because I like you don't like the word how, but I was going to ask, what are these prospecting channels that you use to get highest response rate and appointment rates and eventually highest conversion rates?
Sure. So the first logical place to look is every one of us are surrounded by communities. Your family, your friends, your colleagues, people in your physical community, like your municipal community. That's the first place that we look. Where do you have pre-existing relationships with other real estate agents, brokers, team leaders, and managers? And we teach you how to present the opportunity to those people. The second part is through Facebook and Instagram. Again, I get a lot of cold prospecting messages saying, hey, come join me at this company. We don't do that. We teach a very specific methodology through the use of 100% organic social media to build 3 fundamental principles: relationship, intimacy, and connection. There is a certain way on how to use those tools of social media. And we teach you how to use it correctly to build those 3 foundational elements with prospective agents so they join your company or team. But everyone else is so busy just splattering all over social media how great they are and this, and look at me, look at me, look at me. No, that's not what it's about. It's about how can you help people navigate the psychological journey between where they are and where they want to be. And you do that through providing valuable content through organic social media. So when they're ready to make a change, they put their hand up and say, hey, I want to work with you. I literally just booked 2 appointments yesterday from 1 post, which had terrible engagement. But 2 people reached out to me to book calls about our program. Like, that's what's available. You can actually learn how to do that through social media.
Yeah, like nowadays you have 50,000 followers, and you
don't need it.
2 leads from that, and you can have 200 followers and you can have 5 leads from that. So it doesn't define you, right?
No, and there's other people out there, coaching on social media for agent attraction, like specifically, and most people aren't going to go and do that. It's just the reality. They're just not. And building your social media following on those platforms today is very difficult compared to what it was 3 years ago. It's very difficult. Go from 700 followers up to 20,000. Like, that is a significant challenge. Before, you could do that in a year, no problem.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but the problem right now, even David, I don't know if you know, but you can actually get those followers if you buy them and you have those apps that do it for you. but then like you end up with a big account that just looks good on the image, because if you go to, as you said, the engagement of your post, which is the actual thing that counts, they're shit. Like, and why do you have 70,000 followers if you have 50 likes, and your cousin, your step cousin, has 500 followers, and she posts a picture and she has more likes than you? Like, does that make sense? It does not. Like, so I totally agree with you with in your perspective, and I really appreciate you coming along to say this. It took us 20 episodes to get us into an alternative way of thinking, and I just lived these new ideas. And
yeah, wonderful.
And I wanted to ask you, David, so we can get more of a clear picture on, because I'm very curious on how, I don't want to say how, but I'm very curious on how does this work, like in the long run, and how does it start, and how is this that you were mentioning before we started recording, bridging spirituality with performance. So how can one imagine? I'm Tomasz. I'm just listening to this episode. Like, I want this. Like, I totally agree with David. I see myself in it. I'm not happy. I'm miserable. Some of the audience may empathize with this.
Okay.
What do I do now?
Sure. So the first thing is to take some space. A lot of people carry a lot of guilt and shame when they're not working, because they, especially in our business, they think that they always need to be working. That's not true. We're coming into a perfect time of the year, being, middle of December. If you are feeling that way, take 3 weeks off. And I mean 3 weeks off. Go buy a book called The Happy Pocketful of Money. Get another book called Rich as Fuck by Amanda Frances. Those are the two books that I would really go read, and I would study them. There's also another book called The Ziva Technique, which is all about meditation. That's by Emily Fletcher, who I've come to know, and she is phenomenal. She is amazing. The thing is, you got to take care of yourself before you can do a damn thing, and people really need to get that. They just really need to understand that. So those 3 books are excellent. Do not do audiobook. These are books that you learn and study. I've got it downstairs, but I'm reading Rich as Fuck by Amanda Frances again for the 3rd time this year. There's actually a 4th book I would recommend called Turning Pro. Turning Pro is by Stephen Pressfield. I have also read that book 3 times this year, and I will read it 3 times again next year. One of the most powerful performance books I have ever read, in having people really unlock themselves from resistance to actually go produce real results in the world.
Sounds like they're amazing 4 books. I want to read them.
Yeah, they're very good.
Nice. So from that point on, like, so get some space, buy these 4 books. Any more advice you can give us? Because people might feel misguided, like, or would you say the books, it will guide you on the right direction?
Well, look, it's a everybody wants the quick fix. For you to fulfill on what you want in life, that is a spiritual journey. Mm-hmm. The real estate business and entrepreneurship, besides having children, is probably one of the biggest personal tests you will ever face. So if you're looking for a quick fix, I'm not your guy. Don't listen to me. Mm-hmm. If you're somebody who's looking to grow, who has a deep, authentic why, like why you're in the real estate business, what you want to fulfill on, what you want out of life, your heart's in the right place, you're committed to your personal growth over time and your evolution of self into the power of who you really are, then I'm your guy. And so many people in our business just want the quick fix. And it's like, I'm not your guy. Good luck. Who I am today was 15 years in the making. Okay. I don't know what to tell you. It's a journey. It's never going to end, by the way. You're never going to arrive anywhere. And if you think that being a top producer in this business is really going to fulfill you, for some people it actually does, and that's rare. You know, I'm good friends with some of the biggest brokers in this city, in Toronto, doing multiple millions a year, and they can't wait to stop selling. They can't wait. I don't know many realtors who are truly fulfilled by what they do. Okay, doesn't mean you can't be. But being a top producer is not going to have you be fulfilled. You really got to have what I found being most effective is that you have to have the business be an access to something else, because there's no other business in the world that I'm aware of where you can make the kind of money that you can make selling homes to then have that feed something else. Could be investing, helping out a friend, parent, building an organization. You know, why people come into our program for agent attraction is if I have somebody on a call there's like, I just want more agents to join my team. Like they're just all about the deals, all about the money. I don't work with them. And that could be, you know, another sale for us, for our company. I will not work with them. Everybody who comes into our program is deeply connected to why they want what they want. And that's the foundation of success. You have to be deeply and authentically connected to why you want what you want.
That's very inspiring, David, for sure. And like you have to understand, this can be a slap in the face for someone that is listening, and then they're scratching their head, and it's like, oh, is this really what I want? Maybe it's right, you know, like, and I totally imagine that happen, David. And I was just asking about more steps, but obviously, like you are right, like people have their own path, they have their own journey, and they have their own legs to walk in. So like,
yeah, look, the first step is taking 100% responsibility for yourself and your life and everything. Responsibility is not conditional. You're not where you are. It's your fault. Period. The end. The responsibility is on you, not what happened to you, not the client, none of this stuff. And you have to live it to lead it. So I have every single right to say what I just said. I'll tell you a quick little story. Probably about, I don't know, 2 months ago, I got a phone call. I was on a Zoom actually, and my phone's ringing. I looked at it and it was a past client. She's like, I need you to call me. I was like, okay. She goes, we're interviewing real estate agents and we want to sell the house. Can you come over today? I'm like, no problem. The moment I got there, I just felt it right in my gut. Don't do this. Don't do it. It was a $4 million home. I would have made about $90,000 on it. I did it for the commission check. Fast forward, I paid $30,000 for staging and marketing. She was a complete nightmare. Asking for updates 6, 7 times a day. Would not take my advice. I barely slept for 3 weeks. I was driving up to our cottage on a Tuesday. She was just lighting up my phone. being dominating, just being frankly nasty. And I said, put your phone down for 2 hours. Don't respond to a damn thing. Don't look at a message. Don't do anything. And I asked myself, what are you willing to tolerate? I have goosebumps as I share this story. So I got to the cottage. I picked up my phone. I didn't even read everything else. And I said, I will be canceling our contract. You'll have the cancellation agreement within the next 30 minutes. Please sign. Our relationship is complete. I'm no longer participating in this relationship. Goodbye. Everyone's like, yeah, but you had 90 grand on the table. So what? You had $30,000 of after-tax dollars invested in the property. So what? I'll make it up. And the moment I hit send on that cancellation agreement, she freaked, completely freaked out. And I stopped and I said, I don't know how. I have no idea how. And God will reward me for standing up for myself and my value and for pursuing what I really want. 10 days later, I confirmed a contract for 50 grand from some guy from high school who owns a real estate business through 100% organic social media. We're working with them right now. And we're about to sign another contract for 15 grand. And our business is growing. So I said, I don't know how, but God will reward me for this. Because I finally put my foot down and said, enough is enough. And did it sting that I, spent 30 grand? Of course it did. And that was the price I had to pay to finally get the lesson that I'm done. I'm not actively selling real estate anymore. My life is not dependent on selling real estate. So I just share that because that's what it looks like to take 100% responsibility for yourself, your life, and your future, regardless of the circumstance. I could have easily stayed in it. And what do you know? That client was demanding that we must sell this home for minimum 3.8 million. There's under no circumstances. Oh, really? Yeah, you just wait and see. I've told you you're overpriced multiple times. And as you can tell, I don't sugarcoat. I tell the truth and I tell it straight. And what do you know? Last week, they just firmed up on the sale for $3.4 million. Sorry. So at any rate, I tell that story because the first step in any spiritual journey and any journey of growth is accepting 100% responsibility.
For sure. And no matter the cost of a lesson, being that in money or in something else, it's important what you do with it, right? And it took action, and that's what matters. So tell me, David, we're wrapping up here. I think we could go on with 5 more episodes about this, a full series. I love it. But tell us, how can our audience reach you?
Yeah, so the way you can reach me is hit me up on Instagram. It's david.bins. That's BINNS. That is the best way to connect with me. And if you have listened to the podcast, connect with me. Let me know that you did listen to this podcast, and would love to connect with you. Great.
And yeah, thanks for coming. Without further ado, it was an amazing episode. I love the perspective. I love the ideas. And I think the audience that it is listening at this minute feels the same way as I do. Thank you, David.
Beautiful, man. Thanks so much.
Bye.